This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
All right, hopefully that means it's time for us to be on the air, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, what are we at today? Covered up all my things. The 29th of July, 2018. All right, welcome to the show. Joined as we are by our good friend Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm currently trying to eavesdrop on the people chatting. So I'm in a traffic jam right now. I'm coming to you guys live from the biggest traffic jam in the UK right now. I'm in the very front line. I can see the very front of it. I can see the police cars stopping traffic right in front of me. Basically, there's been some kind of accident up ahead. There's been ambulances going through and police and the likes. Everybody's jumped out of their cars and everybody's just chatting with each other. I'm very uncomfortable because I need to go to the bathroom, but I can't because it's illegal to go outside and there's police officers right in front of me. So I think they probably noticed if I got out.
I tried, guys. I recommended to Ken that he just take it and go, make the effort, and therefore be much more comfortable.
I've got a cup, but here comes police coming by. I think you can hear them coming past. You'll see them go by in a moment. That's an ambulance. There we go.
Hey.
There we go. I hope everybody's okay. That sounds like that's 2 ambulances that have gone down there so far, so it seems like it's very bad.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, so I've just been stuck in here. I was supposed to be at my destination Ipswich for work for 2 weeks this time, and then I'm back for a weekend, then I'm coming down again for another 2 weeks straight away. So I'm basically down here for a month straight, more or less. So I was supposed to be there by like 5 o'clock, and it's now 7 o'clock here. So I'm 2 hours late, and it's due to the fact it's been torrential rain all day.
Oh man!
And there's also roadworks on the way, and now this thing has happened. And so yeah.
Everything at once kicking in to say, hey, but it means we have your almost undivided attention as you sit here, not moving anywhere.
I'm not distracted while driving. It's true. I'm not actually distracted while driving. It's completely safe. Like I don't have my seatbelt on. I'm not driving, engines off. It's all very safe.
Nice.
Unlike before when I was on the show and I was driving.
What? No, we are always safe on Show X. What are you talking about?
Of course. The X stands for safety. But yeah, so today's been a bit of a boring day. I've been just listening to audiobooks. I say boring, actually. I've been listening to Dresden Files Book 2. I think I'm 15 chapters in now so far.
Nice.
It's been a long drive. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it. I have the same problems that I had with the first audiobook I listened to, which was that the voice actor, while very good, he keeps making all these he sighs and grunts so much that he makes me kind of hate him a little bit.
Gotcha.
Like, he can't do anything without sighing and going, well, and it's like, even when the character's supposed to be portraying extreme sadness or pain or remorse or guilt, it just sounds like he's just being really lazy all the time.
Oh,
and
that's
kind of irritating.
I'm trying to think too that though, because Dresden is a bit of like just, I don't know, he is always kind of gruff and not ever truly happy with the world. So I was trying to think if he's actually portraying it really well, or if maybe he's just going a bit over the top.
Well, that's the thing. You can still be mad at the world and everything, but still also experience surface emotions. You know, like it's like people who are depressed. They still can laugh and be happy sometimes, even if they're like 90% like deep in a numb void of sadness. They can still on the surface laugh at a joke occasionally, or just not visibly be sighing everything. You know, even the most depressed people in the world get excited at things, and even the most despondent people. So I just feel like it could have showed a little bit more. Like, for example, there was one scene there where Dresden was literally manic. He was laughing after this big fight that happened. There was like a dozen mutilated corpses around him, some people that he knew and loved, and he started laughing out of like this insane, sheer manic, right? Hysteria. But they just sounded like he was just sighing constantly still, and it's like nobody is that chilled and lazy sounding and relaxed in that situation. Like, then he fell to the floor. And,
oh no!
It got for spilling out. And,
no, that's definitely not Dresden, because Dresden will openly admit throughout the book in this internal monologue how scared he gets in different scenes and how much he's trying to fake it to make it so that he feels as though he wants to portray that he's a wizard in charge, but often he is talking about his guts retching and how whenever he sees scenes that are truly horrid, he will throw up and can't handle it, and how nobody should have to deal with that. And so, yeah, sighing through that would not be accurate.
But sorry, I didn't actually delve too much into that. I was outside because it's on my mind for the past 8 hours. Yeah, I mean, I've been thoroughly enjoying listening to that again. It's a good read. It's a good listen. I've now finished The Handmaid's Tale, which was the previous audiobook I was listening to, so I moved on to this. And I'll talk about it a bit more in the Geek Cred section. I don't want to spill this out.
Gotcha.
But I think that's most of what I've been up to. Oh, I've got some big news, actually. I didn't have a chance to mention it because I wasn't here last week. My second paper was thankfully accepted to the conference that I had submitted to.
Oh, good.
Which mostly secures my PhD. And I think right now, if I was to go straight into the final exam right now, the oral exam, known as the Viva, I would probably have a good chance of passing as is. But I also plan on submitting 2 more papers before then. So I was worried about progress before, and that uncertainty was very scary, but I feel quite secure and safe now, which is for my whole PhD, which is good. So that was very good. And last week I went to Alton Towers, which it was straight after I found out that the paper had passed. But it was while we were driving down south, the 6-hour drive or so, to get to Alton Towers, which is the biggest theme park in the UK.
Oh, cool.
And I got an email like on the road, so I was driving down, and I saw the email icon, and I was just continually like, "Oh God, I really want to look at it. I really want to touch my phone." Thankfully, the petrol was getting low, so I pulled over to a gas station, checked my emails when I was there. I was like, "Yes, got accepted." So I was really afraid because it was either going to be Alton Towers would be a weekend of enjoyment and celebration, or it was going to be a weekend of trying to cheer me up.
Well, I'm glad that it was the prior and not the latter.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was lots of fun. I went on pretty much every single thing there that was like that could be considered a roller coaster apart from one. And it was lots of fun. I did some of I actually watched a video of the world's 10 like scariest and most like crazy roller coasters on YouTube.
Okay.
And there's one there called the Smiler, and I think it was number 7 or something on the list. So I did that one. I'm not one for big roller coasters. I wouldn't say I'm like I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, but I'm not big on roller coasters just because I like having control. So like I love skiing down a mountain in like 85 miles per hour, narrowly avoiding edges and stuff and having the best time. That sounds amazing to me. Or jumping out of a plane sounds amazing. But when I'm in a roller coaster, I have absolutely no control, absolutely none, and I don't like that. So, yeah. So we had a lot of fun. I think my favorite part of the whole experience was on the Sunday, just before we left. Kin features also. She's actually terrified of roller. She's not that she doesn't like them. She's absolutely terrified. And I managed to convince her to go on one called Rita, which until I think 2008 or so was the fastest roller coaster in the world. So it gets really fast. It's also got some of the fastest accelerations. I think it's 2.6 seconds and from 0 to 80 or something crazy like that. And so I finally managed to convince her to get on it. And this is my 3rd time on this roller coaster. So instead of me just experiencing this acceleration and going, oh my God, it's crazy, I turned my head to the side to watch her instead. Her face was just so priceless. It was so funny. just the fact that, like, because when you start moving that fast, you know, the wind hits your face and it starts moving backwards. And before the roller coaster starts moving, they actually say to you, please. Oh, people are running around for some reason. I wonder if traffic's moving.
Lock your doors. Somebody with a...
Yeah, I'm getting ready in case something happens here. Yeah, feel free to seatbelts on. I'm going to get ready here. So yeah, I watched her. Yeah, they said beforehand, make sure you have your head against the headrest, because if you don't, you might get neck. You might have it might damage your spine, because it moves so quickly that you go honk as you take off. So it was pretty funny to watch her expression of extreme fear, shock, panic, and exhilaration as she took off on this roller coaster. But as I take off and try to concentrate on traffic here, I think I'll finish my dysfunctional deviations early there and hand over to you. So how are things in the world of Wayne?
All right, and as you said, I should probably do the official, we are in
dysfunctional deviations.
As we're in there, and let's see, what have I been doing? As yes, Ken is finally making progress on the motorway, so almost perfect timing for him to at least get settled again, since there was at least some motion. I see cars going the other direction now, so we'll see what's happening, but hopefully that clears up for him so he's able to make it to his destination only 3 or 4 hours late. But with that, let's see, dysfunctional deviations, what have I been doing this week? Let's see. First thing I put down was running. So I've gone running. Actually, I went twice this week. First off, went just kind of on my own, a little bit of a jog, thinking I'd make a night when I was out and about, when it was nice and cool. And unfortunately did not wear my knee brace, and I noticed it. I made it about I was ambitious. I started running out and made a turn a different direction to go away from my neighborhood at about the mile mark. And so somewhere around 2 miles out from my house, as I had gotten down to a corner, my knee, which had dislocated way back when, decided to try yet again while I was running. And so I almost lost it, kind of locked up a little bit, was able to work it out real quick, and then had to hobble from there. And basically pseudo-hobbled my way back home from there another 2 miles with slight jogging as I was getting closer and closer to home, and suddenly there was rain coming in as we've been having monsoon season here in Colorado. And so,
oh my God, that's scary.
So the rain started coming in. I think that only hit me with some big fat drops that I wasn't sure if it was water or hail at first, because we've been having these massive storms in the late afternoon here. But made it back mostly unscathed and not too injured. But that was a bit of like a ooh, ouch. And then had an opportunity to go running again a couple days later, because my sister came to town real quick just to stay the night. She and her husband and a couple of friends were making their way out to the western slopes in Colorado for a race. My brother-in-law likes to run long distances, not being chased by a bear or anything, but on his own and on purpose. And in doing so, he was running a 100-kilometer race on Saturday, so he did that yesterday. I have not heard how that went for him or not, but hopefully he survived. I mean, that's actually, for him, kind of middle distance, because he keeps trying to do 100-mile races, and so 100K should be not necessarily easy for him, but a shorter distance, although this one's also up in the mountains. And so I can't wait to hear how that went for him. But while they were out, the day they were leaving, they decided they needed to do a little warm-up run, and so they invited me along. And this time I did put my brace on. And I found that I am much more successful running with friends or with others. And so I kept up with both Russell and their friend. And in doing so, I took it from where I ran on my own and was hobbled and terrible doing 4 miles. But took me, what was I doing, 13.5-minute miles or something with a broke knee. This time I was able to do it continuously, and I did it in an average pace of, 10:20, I think, per mile, which isn't too bad. Not full race level, but faster than I normally train on my own for sure. So that was interesting and far more active than I've been recently. Beyond that,
can I say well done for managing to go out there, have that damage and pain, and then go out and do it again. That's impressive. So good for you for your endurance.
I was feeling surprisingly good, I guess, after the first one, and inspired with family in town, I guess. So between the two, that got me up again, and they were encouraging. Not necessarily pushy or anything, but definitely hey, come on, you want to run with us, right? It's just a short one. And in fact, it was actually, I made it longer my fault because I chose the wrong course for it, but it was supposed to, they only really wanted to do about a 3-mile one. But because I took them the full outside course because they wanted to run on kind of the gravel path we have out on the outskirts of my neighborhood, they ended up, we took the full 4 miles that we ran this time, so an extra mile from what they had originally planned. Now, my sister and the other gentleman that was there, they turned back early. They had run about 2-ish miles of it, or a mile and a half of it, and they were like, nope, we're done, and they went back. Where the other 3 of us went and continued on. So that was a good time, surprisingly. And afterwards, I didn't hurt. It was kind of amazing. So I didn't really suffer for it. Beyond that, I also had some social obligations from work and such. Was saying goodbye to some friends that are leaving our team and traveling back to where they had ventured from. And so we went down to Lowry, which is an old Air Force base that's now been reconstructed as housing and businesses and things like that. And we went to the beer garden down there. Nice German-style beer and brat house. And while out there, just, having some beers, meeting with people, and kind of enjoying each other's company, randomly there, as we were sitting around having fun, I saw a group line up just outside of the beer garden, a group of kind of young folk and some more, none quite my age, but a little older. And they rolled out this large mat on the ground, and I started hearing this other music playing than what the beer garden was playing, and looked over and I was like, huh, that looks an awful lot like a breakdance troupe setting up here to perform. Look at that. And as they did get set up, Block 1750, which is a group out of Boulder, Colorado, that I have actually gone to their events before, were raising money for their next one this year, their block party. And so they came out and were outside the beer garden and set up basically doing breakdancing, just kind of as a random thing, and putting out simply, tip jars saying, hey, if you like what you see, feel free. Come here and, give us a donation. And it was fun because I saw them, I was like, I actually know these people somewhat. I knew the main guy, White Boy, and one of the other dancers, I forget the other guy's name. And the rest of them were mostly younger or newer folk that I had not seen because I haven't been dancing in the breakdance scene for a year now? I don't know. It's been a little while. But saw them, was like, oh, cool. So I donated some money. But the hard part for me was, one, I was dressed in just like shorts and a t-shirt and wearing sandals, and they were playing great hip-hop music and such, and they had various forms all represented, from a gal that was whacking to some popping and locking to traditional hip-hop dance and to full-on break dancing that was going on throughout. And these are all styles that I've trained a little bit in when I went to school of breaking. And so it was very hard for me not to jump in, both because this was before I ran the second time, so this is both on like my wounded knee, I think. Oh, no, that was after. So, but it was after my run and everything else, so I was still kind of like wary of doing too much on it. And I was wearing sandals, which are not the right footwear for breakdancing, if you didn't know. But man, did I do some chair dancing and some like little beat bopping along on the side, enough so that they all recognized and kind of saw me like, who's this guy? What's he know? And then when they're all said and done, and I talked to White Boy a little bit, and he was kind of like, I think I remember seeing you around, kind of thing. So that was kind of cool. But just a neat little thing in addition to just having been out and kind of hanging out with friends, which was a lot of fun. As the group that was around me saw, I had a grin ear to ear being able to watch some breakdancing in the middle of the day. And them, even the group I was with, seeing me bounce around, were like, why aren't you out there? It's just like, nope, I'm not going to jump in the cypher like this. But they wanted me to. Beyond that, I was also active in, yesterday morning, I had been invited from some of the same group to go downtown to, Momentum, I think is the name of the place. There's something else to it, but a rock climbing gym. And so a facility that was almost completely focused around having lots of rock walls to be able to climb on. So like a gym sense that they're all...
You've been so active, dude. You've been ridiculously active. How is your body okay?
I don't know, actually. And part of it is I didn't get to do my normal martial arts. Training got canceled on Thursday when I normally go. So maybe that was a little more energy I had. Plus, that was when my sister was in, so it's made it all right. But yeah, I went rock climbing for about an hour, and I was very happy with how I performed.
Are you particularly experienced? Are you particularly experienced with rock climbing, or is that your first time?
Oh, it's definitely not my first time. So back, years and years ago, many years ago, probably like 8, 10-ish years ago, I don't know, somewhere back then, I had some friends at work who started getting into some top roping. Nothing major, but having all the gear, the harnesses, stuff like that. And we'd go down to Castlewood Pines or something, or basically down to Castle Rock. There's some walls in there that are only about 30, 40 foot max, but have some really good climbing walls. And so we would go out there and climb a bit, and in doing so I ended up picking up my own shoes, and I think that was the only gear I really ended up with, because having good climbing shoes really makes a difference. Challenge was that the climbing I was doing with them, and because it was out in the natural space, the shoes I got are very aggressive. They're the ones that are meant to be able to put your heel into a little corner to pull yourself up, put your toes in, turn your foot sideways, and have it wedge in so you can pull your whole body up by just your toes kind of thing. And they're very soft, so they can kind of grip around the edge of rocks and things like that. So not necessarily the most ideal for rock climbing on a wall, like in a gym. It works, but these shoes are so dang tight that I'm pretty sure I was ripping skin off the back of my heel, and I have not worn them for a while. I at least remembered to make sure and cut my toenails, because much like when I go skiing or rollerblading, anything that has a boot or something like that that can really get on the front of your toe, you do not want to have even slightly long nails, because you will feel every moment of it. So I did. Got it cleaned up, but got to climb, and I was actually pretty happy with myself. It'd been a while, and the gentleman I went with, he and his wife had been going to this gym for a while now, and they're on kind of like the second tier level of difficulty for colors of holds, because it's neat how they have the walls set up. They have everything from bouldering, where you actually just, all of it's basically bouldering, none of it is rope in this gym, but where they had some that you top out, some that you wouldn't, so some that are a little lower, but they actually have handholds all the way to the top, so you can climb to the very top of it and then go down another route. Others where you just get to the top and touch the wall, basically to say that you met the requirement to get to the top of the climb, and then climb down a couple and jump off onto the pads, as well as one area that's kind of a cave where it has fully inverted sections as such to be able to go on. And I was able to do most everything they did on the green level. So it goes white handholds is like your base, green's your next, and then I want to say it goes to yellow, then blue, then red, something like that for difficulty. And some of these difficult ones are just dumb. But I was doing the green with both my friend and his wife, so that was pretty cool. And
nice.
Yep, got up most of the same ones they did, and I guess what helped me is I have worked out enough and been in shape enough that my upper body strength was decent, or still is decent. And it was best highlighted when they had a ladder climb, which is just a wall that kind of slightly, it comes away from the wall, just slightly inverted. And it's just nothing but handholds on a post kind of across that goes up and up and up and up as a ladder climb. But it's one that you do that you don't actually use your legs at all. It's all just hand grip. And just climb it with your hands. It's kind of like back in, for me, gym school or in gym class when you'd have like a rope that you would just climb. And when you'd ever get really good, yeah, that you could climb a rope without your legs. Similar kind of thing. So.
Oh, we never had any of that good in our school.
Oh, so we used to do that in wrestling and stuff like that, that you'd have to show that you could. Well, on this rock climb, I watched a few people try, and my friend tried as well, and he got up to about like the 5th rung or something like that, and then dropped down. And I got onto it, and one, I was too tall with my reach, so I couldn't start at the bottom rung. I had to go the next one up. And then once I just went, I just kept going all the way to the top and got to the 10th rung or whatever. Now, I didn't climb back down, as another guy who was observing said, oh, you were supposed to climb back down, but I just dropped from there. But still felt pretty darn good that I was able to manage that and get to the top. And although the problem with it is, and my friend was mentioning it, he and his wife both, that, well, that's cool, that also takes enough energy away that you're going to feel it when you're trying to then climb anything else the rest of the day. And so it's one of those that you kind of want to be careful when you use up all your energy. I don't know if you can still... Yeah. Let's... You have gone full robot, Ken. Let's go ahead and have you kill and come back on the call now that you've been traveling a bit. And see if we can get you back on your video, because it was just starting to lock up on us. The nice thing about Discord, as we've moved to this, is that it's really easy. I don't have to click any buttons. Once he's left and then comes back on, it just like reconnects, which is really cool. So we'll just wait for Ken and see if he gets back here in a second. Hopefully you guys are all able to hear me still fine, and that was just on Ken's end that he started dying completely and we've lost all contact. darn traffic giving in. At least when he was in traffic, he was next to enough cell towers to be able to still do it. But yes, so rock climbing was a good time. I did all those hard difficulties until the very end, where trying to go up the... We went to the cave last, which is just silliness on our part because the cave is all inverted, and so it's almost all upper body strength, and trying to tuck your toes in a little bit, but trying to keep yourself and get yourself to the wall with just your upper body kind of pull in is not an easy task. That was interesting. But needless to say, I tried, I think, one attempt on the cave, and it was just like, nope. And then finished the very end, and this is how bad it was. Yeah, no, I did. I tried to go up these, there's a couple that had great holds on it. They called it lettuce leaf because it's kind of the shape of the hold, where you could put almost your whole arm up around it. It was really, actually a really good hold. But I was so weak at that point, my fingers could not grip. And then at the very end, we went to what was it's a transverse wall. So you traverse along the edges of it, and instead of climbing up, you're climbing sideways. And so it's a whole lot of holds that initially you can kind of just walk across, very mountain goat style, if you will, that you're just kind of holding on with your hands and putting your feet back and forth, walking sideways against the wall. And then as you turn a corner, it gets a little harder. And you get going, and the holds get further apart. You're now having to get a little more grip to stay against the wall. And then there's another corner. It's a bit of a U-shape. And after that one, you're pretty much hanging off the wall now, and now you're climbing again, but sideways. And I was so wrecked that before I got to that last corner, already I was trying to wedge my hands into the holds versus gripping them, because my finger strength was just gone. But my hand strength wasn't bad, so as long as I could get in there and kind of cup the entire hold, I was able to keep moving. And it worked out. But eventually I got to the next corner, I made one hold and was like, nope, fell right off the wall. I was like, I am done. But it was a good solid bit of climbing, and I could probably, if I wanted to, I could feel it in the forearms here from just all that grip. Also, then afterwards, which was nice, was to kind of celebrate the success we had with climbing with all my friends from work, or couples that I had gone with. We went down and walked, and the nice thing is the gentleman that we went with that set it up is my resident foodie. He's someone who knows some of the best food around town and in other cities he's visited and such. He's someone that if ever I go somewhere, he recommends, like, you need to go here, you need to go there. So we kind of said, yeah, I'd be down to grab something to eat now that we're done, working out all this. So we all got together, and we went down to City Market, I guess it was, City Marketplace, something like that. It's an indoor area, like a building that must have been converted over from warehouse or something, but because the whole area has kind of been reinvigorated, gentrified as such, but in my opinion, a very good way. And in it, they had multiple, meat market, bakery, all these different shops, including a cocktail area, bar and such, all sharing one roof, essentially, but you can go to all these different businesses within there. They're all quite nice. So got a bagel sandwich there to start the thing, kind of a breakfast sandwich as they were transitioning over, because we did this early in the morning. And then for me, the highlight of that was then going to the other end of the market and getting ice cream at the little creamery they had there, which had some amazing flavors. And I ended up with, what was it? It was a whiskey. It was a tin whiskey flavored with some kind of brittle in it, like a pecan brittle or something, some kind of pieces in it. And they matched it up with some butter, like a brown sugar buttery something that went with it. I got on a waffle cone, and I will tell you, it was phenomenal. I have not had much ice cream in some time, and this was more than just a treat. It was really good. And I kind of wish I could go back and try all their flavors. They did do the tasters things, which was really nice. So I really enjoyed that piece, and just a great way to kind of celebrate having done a lot of good climbing and exercise and things. So I have been working it recently. As Ken said, I've definitely been active. And while he will be back shortly, but now that he's got on the road and gotten, I think, stopped, he is now going to take advantage of a proper facility to allow himself to be comfortable for the rest of the show. So we should see him back in a little bit. All right, the last thing I wanted to bring up for dysfunctional deviations today. There we go. Come back to us. See if it connects. I have to not send Ken my video so that we have the best possible audio and video from him.
Yeah, probably not wise. So there, I mean, it's spotty for connection. I can just again if I'm going.
You are still somewhat the robot. Nope, nope. You may want to... Let's see. Okay, I can see you again now. That's good. But I don't... When you were last talking, it was still a bit robot-y.
Okay, well, let's see.
So how about this? Let's have you kill the call, come back, turn off your video for now until we get a little more settled, and that way we at least have your wonderful Scottish accent to keep us company. And so while Ken gets that cleared up, I will continue to talk and say that the last piece I was going to get into was updates on generally my house, because yay home ownership. I had multiple little things, but the most recent, and this is a reoccurrence from something that I ran into in the past, but my furnace essentially has choked and died in the sense that
Sure. Give me 1 sec. Can you?
Better. You're no
okay, I can hear you again, kind of. Sorry, okay. This is the problem with all this is that this is going to be a little spotty.
That's all right. We will make do with just your audio so that at least we have both of us here.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But for the most part, yes, I can hear you now.
Great, okay. Well, let me know if there's any echo as well, because I don't know if the volume's too high for me or not. So do let me know.
You are fine. It's just got the normal speaker phony sound, so we're okay. But as I was finishing up got back to the house, all of a sudden I was hearing a clanking kind of noise whenever my air conditioner would kick on. Something a little metallic that I could hear through the floor and a little more vibration where I was like, what is going on with this? And so I went down and eventually, yesterday, decided to disassemble my furnace. And in doing so, have found that the main blower wheel, which is the actual fan blades kind of cage that it spins, is out of whack. It is unbalanced and angled in such a way that no matter what I did trying to tighten it to the motor housing, it continued to wobble. And so I'm pretty sure that it is running into its own walls, like the enclosure around it that it fits in, and thus banging around. And instead of having something spin around in high RPM in my expensive furnace, I decided to go ahead and just shut it off, pull it out, and order a new one, which unfortunately is not going to get here until Friday. And so for the next week, we are sans air conditioner in my house, which, yay.
Oh, that must be painful. How is it right now?
Well, we've been fortunate because it's actually been cooler, and today, in fact, it's been a little bit rainy and kept it down to like 70 degrees, and so it's actually fairly comfortable right now. But keeping windows open at night and kind of closing them up if it gets sunny during the day is my plan for the moment. It's actually, if we maintain this temperature, we'll be okay. If it flips back to the way it was a few weeks ago, where it was 90s every day, then we'll be in for some pain. At that point, I'll have to like move around. Huh?
Time to live in an ice.
Yeah, it's something that, if nothing else, I have thankfully some extra air conditioners down here in the basement for Game Fest. If I have to, I will reposition them around the house. But hopefully we'll be able to maintain the temperature in the house for the most part until such time as I'm able to get that fixed. And doing it myself, because having paid for HVAC before, it could easily cost $1,000 to get someone in here and to do that work for something that is a $120 part. And I can do myself in about 20 minutes, so let's not do that. But yeah, so I'll be trying to keep cool this week. We'll see how it goes. But that's pretty much what I've had going on that's not been Geek this week. So let's go ahead and try to transition from there. Although I need to also double check our emails, because I don't know if...
we do have one thing there, I noticed.
All right, then let me look. I know I might have... Did I send one? I'm not sure if I grabbed a story or not that I sent, so I have to look through all my various windows to see where... Oh, I logged into it. Might have closed it by accident, but let me double check again.
I'm driving past a town called Lulworth, which I find quite amusing. So Lolworth. Lulworth. It's like what someone in League of Legends would say if they died, they killed somebody while they died. They could be like, Lulworth.
Gotcha. Lol, worth it. Ha! That is entertaining. All right, so with this, we are going to transition over now, and let's see if I can hit the right buttons and say...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
As we get into our Geek Cred, we do have an email coming in specifically labeled Geek Cred. This one comes in and says, "Hello, good sirs. It's Agrius SW here again to share some Geek Cred. So stay a while and listen." Says, "I started streaming on Twitch again and started to play the Dead Rising series, and will be going through all 3 games over the next few weeks. Everyone is welcome to hang out and watch me beat up zombies. Been playing the heck out of some Conan Exiles, and for those of you who want to play, if there is still time to get it in this month's Humble Bundle for $12, and join me on my server. Info will be below. Now on to big geeky thing. In keeping with my New Year's resolution, I am attempting something new each month, and this month I decided to try oil painting. So Ambrosia and I got some supplies, and after watching some The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross, found a basic painting and took a stab at it. It was a fun experience, and I'm happy with the results. He has links included for what he's made. I'll see if I can share those. And might continue to do this. Yes, on a month-to-month basis. That's all I have to share this week. Shout out to Ambrosia for supporting me this month's goal, and thank you, good sirs, for reading this on air, and keep up the great work. P.S. One of these is mine, and the other is Ambrosia's. Who do you think is best? All right, so with that, let me see if I can pull these up. And if I can share...
And do let us know, sir, if this is something you're going to keep up, because I'm quite interested, because, you know, picking up a hobby and buying supplies, you might either feel obliged to do more than you might want to, you didn't like it, for example, because you purchased the supplies. Or you might have the opposite, where you might feel you haven't bought enough and might want to go do more. So do let us know if it's something you keep up. I find that quite interesting, picking up new hobbies.
Now, it's always cool when you pick up new things like this. So, let's see if I can open both of these and then have them ready to go. All right, so let's start out with... All right, so we have camera 1, camera 2. All right, so ready to show everybody. Here is camera 1. As we have one of the paintings done. It's kind of a dark and stormy look over a mountain range and a lake. It looks kind of like a frozen lake there with some trees. Then the next one over looks like the same scene, but I would say a little less cloudy, a little brighter, a little more, what would I say, a little more impressionist, but definitely showing the mountain range, the water, and the trees on the side and such. So I like both of these. These are well done. And not knowing whose is whose, I'd be curious to say. But for me personally, I will say the second one is probably the one that I like best. But very nice. All right. So let's get off those. And we'll say he's got also a link to the Humble Bundle Monthly for anyone who wants to join in Conan, as well as the server name and information for there. So if you're interested, I will put that in the show notes for this week's show, as well as you can message me and I'll get it out to you. But that's coming to us from Agris SW, level 110, human paladin on the guild Silverwings, Moonguard US, the paladin and husband-to-be of Ambrosia Hartnett. Thank you very much. We always like to hear from you, Agris SW. Love to get the updates. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So, Ken, are you in a position where you can tell us what you've been doing that's been geeky this week, since I know you're holding back the last section?
Yes, I can do. Also, I just drove past a signpost for a place called American Cemetery, and I assume it's not a town name. I assume it's like the soldiers who fell during probably World War II, and that they're buried nearby, it turns out, which is pretty interesting. I never actually realized there was an American cemetery here at all.
Ah, interesting, and I can see where that would be. That makes sense.
It makes sense to bury troops here rather than sending everybody back who passed after the war. It was quite efficient. It's sad though, because they must have been there buried away from their families, etc. But it is interesting. There's a very educational drive so far. So yeah, Geek Cred. Let me think. I obviously have no notes because I can't put the screens right now. So I'm kind of going to do solo here. Yeah, I've been listening to the Dread 2. I've been enjoying it so far. There's a scene that occurred in it. There's a slight spoiler here. Well, I'm not going to ruin any plot details. I'll just say an event occurred, and I'll describe the event, but I won't describe characters, I guess, other than the main character. So Harry Dresden is standing in a battle scene, and he's beaten and weary after lots of wounds and such over the course of the story. And he's standing there, this magician character, with his blasting rod, which is basically an instrument which allows him to shoot raw primal energy forward from. And he's been battered and has a lot of loss so far in the story, and he's not really had a chance to strike at the enemy truly himself yet. And something occurs which allows him to do so. So he's standing there, battle rod in hand, and he takes all of this primal energy in his body and his mind. He takes all the raw emotion, pushes it down this rod to do a blast from. And I realize they've been smart.
Uh-oh, we might be at the limits of what the internet's allowing. I heard that that he was on the edge of, and then it all kind of fell apart.
Like, it was still satisfying. He still shot it, and he still hit the enemy, and I still enjoyed that primal feeling of him shooting it and blasting the enemy through like 6 walls, and that very satisfying description of just raw emotion coming forth and working. It just read me back to the Dragon Ball Z sort of like Gohan striking Cell type scenario, and I really enjoyed that. So that was probably my favorite scene so far in the novel. They also made me chuckle a couple of times because there's quite a few descriptions. For example, there's one scene where, again, the main character, the wizard Harry Dresden, drinks a potion after, days of being awake and being beaten literally multiple times, gunshot wounds, and he's just, near death's door, and he needs to, again, stand up and fight somebody, and he takes a drink of this potion, which is made out of, among other things, coffee, a to-do list, and other things which are going to sharpen your mind, wake you up for a few minutes, and allow you to have a bit of an adrenaline rush. And he takes this potion, and he uses the potion as taking several shots of espresso, taking a shot of gasoline, also having it was quite a funny description that I enjoyed, and I thought at that point I really enjoyed the writing because it made me giggle. It's nice when a book can make you giggle, so I enjoyed that. So I'm thoroughly enjoying the Dresden Files. It's good fun, and
yeah, no, Dresden Files is one of these series that I've grown to enjoy more and more as I started reading it. I think I was telling someone just the other day how how I know Jim, and when I was talking to him way back when, and Ken's trying to come back as he robots on us a little bit more.
Because it's a universe where the fantasy, there's magic. They have to have that line where they say, "Oh, but people believe in the religion of science," and I have to sort of think to myself, in this universe, it is effectively a religion because, the magic is real in this universe. It still makes me like tweak with annoyance, like grimace slightly, because I can think to myself, I hate when people say religion is science because it's absolutely not a religion. But in a world where magic is actually a real thing, science could be seen as being a less real thing, and that does make sense in this universe, in this fictional universe. But it still makes me a little, it still annoys me on some level, which I suppose it shouldn't, but it does. So yeah, I do recommend it for everybody who's interested in or listen to. Also, there's a nice deal that I got through Amazon. Basically, again, the audiobook would cost you 1 credit, or I think £24 or so to get it as a one-off. However, if you buy the ebook on Amazon, they allow you to give you the audio version for free, and the ebook is something like £6. So if you get both the audiobook along with the ebook, you actually get both for £6 as opposed to just the audiobook for £23. So you're making a saving of a huge saving, right? So I recommend that. I've also watched a couple films this week, but nothing particularly worth mentioning. Kate made me watch a rom-com, which I thankfully she fell asleep 3/4 of the way through. I didn't have to finish, so that was good. I say made me. I actually suggested trying, and it's important to do things that your partner enjoys, sometimes, even if you suggest it. So I suggested it on, but thankfully she fell asleep and I just turned it off. I managed to play a little bit of Diablo 3 this week, which was good fun. I have remaking all my characters for max level as seasonal characters. So if anyone who doesn't know, basically in Diablo, your max character level is 70, and depending on the difficulty level you play and how many people you're playing with, you get bonuses to your XP and gold gain and item rarities that get dropped, etc., etc. So I tend to play on a very high difficulty, where I think it goes medium, hard, then it goes through the various torment levels from like torment 1 to 20 or something. So starting a new character, playing on hard difficulty is fairly easy. Playing on torment 1 is somewhat difficult. Playing on torment 3 means you'll be bashing the most simplistic, basic mob that you're against for approximately 2 minutes to kill it, as opposed to 2 seconds. I've been playing on torment between torment 1 and 2, depending on what I'm doing, as a new level character, then going up whenever I get some gear. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. I actually managed to complete one of my characters, Necromancer, and I now have Paragon level 100 as my seasonal, 110 I think actually. And for the first time ever, I've actually got a full set of seasonal gear for my Necromancer. So he's got like a 5 tiers set that makes him ridiculously powerful. And so I can do a really high torment level of, I think, 8 or 9 now. Just wrecking everything as a glass cannon. So if anything looks at me wrong, I just shatter. So if I get the first hit, they shatter. So if I run in a group, it's a little bit insanely powerful. So I've been having fun with that as well. I played a League of Legends game as well during my lunch on Tuesday, I think.
Hey.
On draft mode. Yeah, on draft mode as Jax in Jungle. And Jax is not a character I've played very often. I've been trying to try new champions whenever I play, or new teams. And so Jax was a lot of fun actually. I managed to go 28 kills, 3 dead.
Wow.
It's always so satisfying when you have a game like that. It just sets you up for the whole day. You're suddenly really happy. And I had one really fantastic moment where they killed my entire. I was running towards them at the time. I was watching the enemy team from a bush. I could see them due to where I was sitting in the bush. He jinxed strayed away very slightly, and I knew that was my momentary chance. They were trying to cluster to who I was around somewhere. So when their jinx strayed into the pack slightly, I jumped on her. I activated E, which prevents auto attacks from doing any damage to me for 2 seconds. So she tried to do that, jumped on her. I absolutely wrecked her. I then jumped on their mage, I can't remember who it was, but their mage character, who was also very squishy. Managed to nuke her down quickly as well, so 2 of them down. And then the 3 that were left were just tanks who could do no damage to me with the amount of life steal I had. And
nice.
And that was incredibly satisfying, being the winning force on the team. Because everybody else on my team was in minus kill to death ratio. I really carried really hard. And it's, that's the kind of game that happens like once every 50 games. But when it happens, it's just, oh, it's so good. It's so very satisfying. And yeah, I've been watching a bit more Star Trek, Voyager. That's been fun. Oh, I started watching a series that I really do thoroughly enjoy. I think it's got such fantastic tips for life. It's got really nice feel-good factor. And I think it's basically where you learn about the different people in the U.S., and mainly the U.S., who are having some kind of trouble, or they're stuck at some point in their life, either with jobs or with relationships, or they've just become like cave-dwelling men, that type of thing. And these guys come along to different experts in different fields. Like one guy's really good with cultural stuff, one guy's really good with home care and DIY and like. Another one's really good with fashion and so on and so forth. And they basically try to fix your life and where you are in your life, you move on and do things you care about. Every time I watch it with kids, she gears up because there's always a moment or two where, you see the character, I suppose the patient has been fixed to an extent, and they get emotional, realizing that they can achieve their goal, and Kate knows yourself about that. And I also really enjoy it. I think it's really satisfying. And I think there's always something to be learned from the series. So I highly recommend Fear Eye as well. It's been really fun to watch. And with that, I think that's everything I wanted to do for my Geek Cred. I realize we're talking here for some time now. And I'm always worried the audio quality when we're doing this over the phone. So.
Well, so the audio is a little robot. It's a little tinny, but I could understand what you were saying. Okay. So I think we're okay with that. But I think when we, go into the break, we will probably try to reestablish a call yet again just to make sure we get as good as we can. So no worries there. Thank you for sharing, and especially, gosh, going as Jax and just wasting people like that in a draft is really good. I'm still afraid to play anything but ARAM when I play League. But speaking of, let's see.
If you ever see me online, man, we can play together. That is less scary.
Good to know. I will keep that in mind. I am still scared. But we'll see. No, I feel like I would get so worked up playing actual laning on Summoner's Rift and not knowing when to collapse a lane or where to do all the wards these days.
Just don't play ranked. Just play on draft mode, because then most people just play new champions there and they don't know what they're doing. Like every time I jump in, somebody says in chat, "Oh, by the way, first time playing mid," or "It's my first time."
Yeah, and that's something that I think would. I mean, yes, that helps. Mine's more like first time playing summoners in I don't know how many years.
Well, you're afraid of it.
But
well, it's fine. I haven't played years either.
I am tempted. I have been curious to maybe check it out for some time. It's kind of on that edge of my comfort zone. So we'll see.
Well, life is best explored on the edge of your comfort zone.
There is something to be said for that, and I have had some good experience due to that, although I will tell you there are some things that are also painful. But that's okay. As we continue on here and I start to talk about my Geek Cred and such, let's see, what have I been doing? So, first thing I want to bring up is, let's see, actually, there's another one that we'll have you come back to, I think, that you were going to talk about, but we'll see. So I've been gaming a little bit myself. The first one I was going to bring up is Rainbow Six Siege. I've been playing, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Before we get into this, I'm going to go ahead and put us on break. I've got a song queued up here from OC Remix, ready to go. And so instead of us going in, this will take us to the top of the hour, I think. So I'll get this break so I can refresh my drink, and then we'll be back. This will be about a 6-minute break, and it's going to be a song called The Wingless, which is a remix from an old World of Warcraft song. So check this out, or it might be the group The Wingless. And we'll be back after this.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. listening to Show X on btwproductions.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. All right, as we are getting into Geek Cred for me this week. How you doing, Ken? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. God, Copy's voice for some reason came through really loudly, clearly, and I absolutely crap myself.
Copy sometimes has that effect on people. Be aware. If a random copy suddenly scares you, you too may defecate. All right, so talking about my geek for the week, I was going to start off right away saying that I have actually been playing some video games for a change. I've found somehow like a little moment in time where I wasn't just working all the time. And in doing so, a lot of it I think came off of the Game Fest week. And so having at least re-experienced a couple games there and realizing that I'm not terrible at everything I play, Campo was able to convince me to jump in and play actually some more Rainbow Six Siege with him. And for an older game that's actually gotten a lot of updates recently, some maps I had never played, things like that, Campo keeps trying to reassure me that I'm not the worst player in the map. And at least this last time playing, just the other day, I got to prove that, in that I think I ended up with actually, what, 2 kills and an assist or something in a 4-round match or a 3-round match that we actually knocked off really fast. But Rainbow Six Siege is actually still a really good game. It's very tactical. You definitely need to talk to people and kind of know your roles and play the part. It's one that, for me, is still very difficult. I have trouble seeing just like that 1 pixel of motion in between a gap that somebody's moving in. And I've watched others who absolutely take advantage of that. Even watched the other day through Fork's Eyes. She was playing one. She was looking like peeking through this area that was between a box and like a desk, and you could barely see anything through it. But she saw some motion. It wasn't a friend. She just like laid out on it, and sure enough, got the guy. And so it's a challenging game for me to be that aware, I guess, of what's in front of me sometimes. And so it's this. I've been playing it better. I've definitely done my role, if nothing else. Although, like I said, I don't get as many kills as I'd like. I've at least participated and helped the team, and so that's a good thing. And Rainbow Six Siege is still pretty good fun. Other than that, gaming-wise, it's still been somewhat light. The thing, I need to get back to doing my stream for Majora's Mask. I have that kind of set up so I could finish it here, and I think this week I might be able to spend some more time on it. But in the interim, also coming off of Game Fest, I had got it reloaded from me kickstarting the thing and spending way too much money on the game, but I like all the swag I got for it. But it is the newly released, or it's been out for a couple months now, BattleTech game. The 3D, top-down, 4 mech per lance setup of a tactical shooter that is, well, tactical, more strategy game, turn-based strategy game than it is. It's not an RTS, it's not a first-person shooter, it is an old-fashioned turn-based tactical shooter, and in that it is so good. It is like all of the rules from BattleTech but digitized. So I've been enjoying it. It's brutal, and I was not expecting that. I haven't played the multiplayer at all. I've just jumped into the campaign. Campaign has you starting off playing as a respectable member of a team and this and that, and then as you go in, events happen, and next thing you know, you find yourself as a mercenary. Not to spoil any of the actual plot points in there, but in doing so, coming out as a merc, you then are actually given command, essentially, of this team that you're part of, and start getting to decide on different contracts and things like that you want to do. This actually takes into account, BattleTech does, some of the best mechanics I'd played from like the MechWarrior series of actual tabletop, or not tabletop, but the role-playing game of it, kind of just what you normally role-play it with it, that you could tie in with the tabletop and work really well. And so it had elements of all that where you're picking contracts, negotiating contracts for how much overall pay you want versus how much like salvage rights you get to choose specific salvage, to if you don't take something, how much bonus reputation you can build with a certain group. And those factors all key into what missions are basically available to you and you can take, and how much you will make from those missions, as well as when you come off of them, depending on how you play through, what kind of mechs and things you can pick up along the way. It's really in-depth. It's got aspects of the brutality in it that I was surprised by right off the bat, is that you're going into it with very little money, very little in the sense of resources for mechs and what you can do with them. And every turn you take, there's cost, essentially, because there's time in the game, and every month you have to pay out operating costs on all of your mechs. You have to pay out loan sharks, essentially, to pay off the debt for keeping your dropship running. And you have to pay out salaries for all the other mercenaries on your team, because everyone's a merc and you're not doing this for fun. And so in that,
That's really cool. I really love the idea of that. I hate how games are so often, like, currency is just boring. Like, it's just a case of, like League of Legends, right? League of Legends is a really boring system for income. You basically just play games and you get IP, or nowadays blue essence, and that's it. I love the idea that you might have to make more.
Oh, it is definitely, it is definitely a challenge. And when you're playing through it, it's because, again, there's a lot of decisions to be made as you're doing it. Part of it comes through where, so managing the team, because there's also resource points that you get to put in or XP into each of your pilots, and you can hire additional mechs and different mech warriors, different pilots. When you start out, there's 5 of you, 1 that's on standby and the 4 that you have assigned. Each of them can be specialized in some ways towards certain skills, because they have, at one level, when you get like 5 points into a level, whatever, it gets a bonus. And then at the highest level, you can get a bonus as well. But the way they manage it is each pilot can only get 3 bonuses total, 2 from the middle tier and 1 from the top tier. And so whichever one you get to first, that's the one you get. So even if you eventually rank up all the rest of the skills in all the categories, you never get one of the other bonus abilities. And so that's the thing you have to decide per each of your different mech warriors. As well as you have to work on each of the mechs. And the nice thing is it has all of the customizability that you'd want from BattleTech, all the different mechs that you can normally play, as well as being able to set up different hard points where you want weapons, ammo, heat sinks, all the different kind of things you can do to customize a mech. The way it plays out then is really nice. It still uses the initiative system, which I'm not fully aware of how it calculates, but there are piloting skills and things like that that improve your initiative, as well as some things you can do in the middle of a combat, reserve turns, things like that, to allow you to then act first in the next round, or let an enemy do their turn with some of their mechs prior to you finishing yours, back and forth, so you can kind of do things a little more strategic in that. And when you play out the combat, it's a challenge, because there's a level of attrition that you don't want to give. In some of the battles, there's lots of different types of things that you can do as missions between. Most of them are just go ahead and go in and kill all the enemy mechs or vehicles or things like that. Several that I've been doing lately have been go assault a base of some sort, be it go in and take out turrets, which you can either destroy the turrets individually or find the turret generators, take them out, which blows up the turrets, which will also then tend to have vehicles around. And vehicles are a pain. They're surprisingly, like, they're very thin-skinned in that you can just go step on them, really. If you do a melee attack, you pretty much will destroy a vehicle. They're pretty susceptible to energy weapons and direct ballistics, but like missile attacks tend to barely scratch them. And while they are somewhat squishy, vehicles have really big guns on them, and they tend to be a bunch of them around there. So even though they don't take much, they can deal out a ton of damage with 3 or 4 vehicles around on just a couple mechs. And so they're still a big threat. Same thing if you leave turrets up, because they do other things where, like, you can send a scout mech forward and sensor lock if they're out of your visual range, but if you do have visualization on a mech of any kind, then other parts of your team can attack from a distance if they have weapons that have the range. So even though you don't have a visual account of them, you can, using sensors, just shoot your long-range missiles from afar and have a missile boat sitting back there just peppering things like that. So there's a lot of play. You can go back and forth. And the challenge I've run into is there's still kind of the random roll of the die for where you hit whenever you target someone and how much damage you get to do to them, which can be affected by how much you've moved, how much they've moved, things that change how easy it is to target you, which is all very cool and down to the board game, so it works very well. But I've had moments where I was doing great in a mission, and then just through the random luck of the draw, basically, of how things did, somebody critted my head on my main character that carries my name. And next thing you know, I'm dead. Just dead. And you continue playing with the rest of your lance and everything and try to finish the mission. But so far, when that's happened, I have reloaded a level and said, nope, I'm not dying like that. But at the same time, what's interesting is, depending on how challenging missions are, you can go through and, through attrition, lose both mechs. If you're smart enough or have timing enough to eject from a mech that's heavily wounded before your pilot gets killed, he'll survive. And if you beat the overall mission, you'll actually be able to recover that mech as salvage. But otherwise you have a high chance of actually losing some of your pilots throughout, and thus having to go hire new ones and skill them up, things like that. Also, while you are maintaining your crew, if your pilots, as they get more experience, they cost more, their salaries go up, things like that. And so it actually might be worthwhile, if depending on your money, to release a veteran pilot in favor of new blood to reduce cost. There's all kinds of just little things that are customizable and way of playing the game, how you want to play it, which I really appreciate. They have lots of different levels in it that I've seen maps so far, and the maps have actually been quite large. I was afraid that they'd be a little more enclosed and kind of, I don't know if I've found the true limits of a map yet. I think maybe one or two I got to an edge. And so most of the levels I've gone against, you can actually go multiple directions and kind of choose how you want to engage a target or building. You can try to flank, do things like that. And I've had good success being tactical like that, where sending in my main bruisers up front and getting my lights to run full speed around to the back of a guy and just start targeting them, because then it's on those enemy mechs to kind of decide who they prioritize. Are they going to keep going after my bruisers, or are they going to try to turn around and deal with the light mech and thus expose their back to the guys that have all the big guns? It's really interesting play. So I've been enjoying it. Matches have taken me anywhere from 15 minutes to about 45 minutes to do a full match, depending on what the objective is, and it has multiple parts. Several objectives have had things where, especially storyline ones, where you'll go in and start to do the mission as you're assigned, and then of course things change, and then you have to adapt on the fly to what the new circumstances are. But the storyline ones are great because they tend to reward you with significantly more money than the regular random generated ones, or the ones you'd get from other planets around. So that tends to be really cool. And it's something where you may have to like choose to take one however often, if nothing else, but to get like, bam, I need more money. And so, hey, Tom Bad Guy, hi and bye from work. Good, happy that you jumped in. Good to see you in the chat. Always good to have you jumping in and listening, and thank you for hosting us as well. As we are here on the Twitch channel, and everyone, feel free to host us, share us, let others know that you're listening. We like to grow, and we need your help. All right. But yeah, so BattleTech, I'm really getting into, and like I said, for me, it's a kind of a nostalgia trip, because it's one of the kind of board games I played way back in the day and spent a ton of time on and just really loved. And so being able to play it now in a digital format has been a great time. And I hope to get into it more. I know some of the guys at Game Fest were playing it in multiplayer, and so I really am curious to see how that's going to go. And I want to check that out. So, yep. That's what I pretty much have for BattleTech. Hopefully I'll play some more. I haven't streamed it yet. I've been tempted to stream it, so I may stream it a little bit. I didn't want to give up too much of the actual story mission stuff in case people also want to try it out. So the nice thing about it, my brother was actually asking me about it just the other day, was saying how good is it worth it? And for me, I would say if you can get a deal on it, it's definitely worth it. It is a solid in-depth game, and you'll spend hours on it. If it's not something you've played before, but the nice thing about it is it's actually not that expensive. It's $29.99, I think, normal. It might be $39, but it's cheaper than what most people have had for their kind of traditional $60 games. And so it's definitely, I would say, priced well. And if you find it on sale, then it is definitely worth its cost. So I would say check that out. I'm enjoying it. If you like that type of gaming, I'm sure you will too. So awesome. Let's see. So that was BattleTech. What else have I been up to? I also wanted to bring up 3D printing, as I have been working with and trying to help others 3D print. I hadn't shown the full thing yet. Let me run over to the side here. And yeah, there's a sword I want to grab. Actually, I got a few things here I want to bring over to camera, so just a second. And thankfully, it's all down here in the basement still, as I'm still hanging out here. Oh, that's the other thing I had to bring up. Before I do that, as I bring that stuff over, I'll come out and talk a little bit more about VR, because that's the other piece. Just a second. All right. I don't know if you're filling the gap for me, Ken, or not, but I am back. All right, I have things I'm going to show on camera. So, first thing I was going to do, and yes, I was going to bring up the pizza too. So, okay. Last thing I was going to talk why I'm still in the basement. So, I'm still down here because after Game Fest, I realized that this has actually enough room for me to do a lot more VR gaming. And so when I'm in my office, I don't really have the space. And so while I've been down here, I've actually been taking my time to give me a little more VR time to try some of the other room scale games and stuff like that. And so the main one I've been playing has been Beat Saber. I also had the opportunity to have my sister and stuff try out the Climb, which is a rock climbing one, which is really good. But Beat Saber, if you've gone over to my stream on Doc Dead on Twitch, you can see some videos from that. I've been doing basically, I was able to mod it, as everyone else has, since I don't have another camera like you can do with the Vive to put myself into the game. Instead, I'm running the virtual avatars that you can run in Beat Saber, which are really cool through the modding community. Beat Saber community is wonderful for this. Took me a minute after they did the last update to Beat Saber for all the mods to catch up, but now that they're back, it's actually cleaner and working properly. So if you check out my channel there and any of my Beat Saber streams, you can see me failing or trying to get better at the game. I've actually had a thing after Game Fest where Unit 0 plays it, has it, and is pretty darn good at it. And so he's on my friend list, and I've been seeing his scores, and now I am compelled to do better. So I spent the last time playing it going down the list of hard ones. Not quite to expert, because, man, some of those just wreck me. But ones that Unit has scored on hard, and I'm trying to make sure I get above him in all of them, because who needs some friendly competition? But yeah, so I've been playing some Beat Saber with that. Tons of fun. Check it out. I love the mods on it. I need to go back to modding the sabers themselves, as well as eventually try to Darth Maul mod. I'm curious to see how that one runs. The two-handed or two-sided blade. Anyhow, so that was VR. Now I was going to continue on with, I've done some Geek purchasing and some printing. So I'm trying to think which to talk about first. I think let me talk about the purchasing, because that's not as big a thing. Let me get this out of the way so I don't break it. I also have print stuff in here, but that I will talk about separately. So, purchase-wise, I've had a bad streak lately of buying a lot of things I probably don't need. And one of the most recent ones is Geek has had some sales. And they're currently, I think it's still there, but they were having some Zelda-themed sales, as well as some other stuff. And so I grabbed a few things, most of which were under basically $20. The first thing I did, not first, but the one I want to bring up first just because it was kind of bizarre to me, is I've gotten several foam swords from ThinkGeek lately that are basically cosplay-ready swords that are like what I just got, which is a Master Sword. And I was told specifically this one's from Skyward Sword, I believe, based off the wrap on the hand. That would be to my local resident expert Hyde, who had told me that specifically, when I showed her that this is what this one's from. But this is kind of what I expected. And what's nice is I'm pretty sure this cost maybe $13, either $10 or $13 plus shipping. But it's nice because it's foam, so you can squeeze on it. And, I mean, it's got a bit of a hard edge, but I think this would still be appropriate if I were to try to cosplay with it or anything like that. And it's fairly lightweight, good size to it, so happy. You know, that's a nice, inexpensive purchase. Now, on the side of that, though, I saw another one that was $10 and was like, oh, another sword. Yeah, let me go ahead and get that one. This one being a Wonder Woman sword. I forget the name of the sword itself. Someone else told me as soon as they saw it. However, I will say this one, albeit I think officially marketed through DC, it says, from the factory, is a very different kind of sword. I don't know if it'll come through on the video or not, but while this one has the shape and look of the Wonder Woman sword, it is distinctly not a foam sword, or at least not in the sense of like the Zelda one is. This one is cloth, I guess, and sewn together on the edges, and like I honestly think they just stuck a rod in the middle of this thing, printed fabric with this image, and then sewed it around. And it is like the cheesiest, most terrible sword I've ever seen. This is like a kid's toy for 5-year-olds. I mean, yay. Yes, you're not going to hurt anybody with it, that's for sure. But even like the symbols on it are just printed and with little fuzzy things on the side. This is so bad. I don't know if it's worth the $10 I spend on it. I mean, it was only $10, so I don't hate it, but come on. This is terrible. Anyhow, moving on. So I tried to get a couple swords. All the other swords I've gotten from ThinkGeek have been like the nice foam and I'm happy with. This one is booty. Butts and not the good kind. All right. Setting those aside, the other things I picked up, because I'm a geek, So this one actually cost a bit more. This one is the Chic's tablet style or symbol bag, messenger bag, that I want to say was $30, a little bit less. I know I've seen it elsewhere online, and it was about $40, $50. So I did get it still on sale. I'm thinking it's cheaper. What's nice is on the clasp here, it's got magnets, so it holds pretty good. And it's got this nice, definitely Breath of the Wild-esque coloring with the blue inside, multiple pockets and such, and kind of a padded bag in there that could be for a laptop or otherwise. But I kind of wanted one in general just because it looked like a really big one. Although, if you look on ThinkGeek, I think they kind of cheated a little bit because they show a picture of the size of it, a gal holding it, and I swear she must be 4 foot tall because they make it look massive in the picture they show. It is a good size, but it is represented differently in the picture they show, I will say. And the final thing I got, this just geeking out and how I spent my money, but again, it was all sales, was the Shield-style backpack from Breath of the Wild. This one is probably, I would say, the steal of the whole thing I did, of what I purchased. If it's still on sale, last I looked, it was $10, $9.99 for this full-size backpack. Now, it's a little thin, but it's got the shield, and it's kind of got this plasticky outside with some gashes in it, so it's battle-worn. But it's got adjustable straps that are actually, like, it's got a nice padded back to it, and sewn on the straps and stuff for a good look to it. But what's really cool about it is the inside on this thing. One, it also has like a laptop carrying piece here, a couple pockets and such to organize, some pouches and some clasps. But it also, on the inside of the shield itself, has the Sheikah symbol, which is really cool, actually. I think they did a good job with this one. And especially since it's on sale for like $10 right now, I don't think you could go wrong with this if Zelda's your thing. And yeah, sorry to do a sales pitch for ThinkGeek, but I was really happy with what I got, and so wanted to show those off. All right, this goes away. Next, I'm going to talk about 3D printing. All right. Yes, Sheikah slates on everything. I actually printed one on a banner as well, just because it was a cool symbol. All right, I have actually been going through a lot of commissions lately for 3D printing. And 3D printing has become more and more of something it's still a hobby, and I don't charge enough for it to be truly a business. But I'm happy to help others and basically cover my costs in doing so, making maybe just enough to get some more spools and to keep me, since I surprisingly have to keep buying parts for my printers. They do wear out, and things do happen. In fact, my R2 is down again right now because of a software error, firmware error, or something. I'm not sure yet. The heat bed, or the hotbed on it's reporting badly. But I think I've talked about it to some degree before, about the sword that I was commissioned to print for my friend, I wanted to say her cosplay name. I will have to go look it up again. I don't want to say her regular name. But the sword, which came, and I think I'd shown even the character it was based on, but it's from an anime and such, and I plan on finishing up a little bit, or I might see if she wants to do all the finishing. I have it kind of in its raw form here. But this is the first sword that I completely built from myself, or for myself, designed it all by myself. So I used Tinkercad, just because it's light and easy. But this sword design has a floating kind of connection around the handle that I currently have loose because this section separates until we finish it, and then it'll glue on and it'll be a permanent piece. And I still need to clean up the bottoms here, but the actual guard there is one of my things, between the handle and the guard are the things I'm most proud of. Because I modeled all of this myself in Tinkercad and made it so it actually has a slot in here so this blade slides in. Fits very nicely. Has the details here that match from the anime, as well as kind of this shape underneath of how it hangs up. I spent a lot of time researching it. I'm really happy with the effect I got and how light it is now. The other thing is I designed the blade itself, and it has a hole throughout and connections for each side of it. And through the middle of it, I put a 3mm carbon fiber rod from a kite to kind of sturdy up the whole thing, but keep it very light. And then I decided, because in the anime, or the game, it actually, as it gains power, it glows blue. And while I don't have a blue glowing filament, I do have a glow-in-the-dark filament that glows greenish. And so I printed it in that. And so with low light, it'll also glow. But this is one that I'm very excited for, and I cannot wait for the cosplayer to be able to come check it out herself. I hope she enjoys it. And so I'm very happy with how it came out and the effect I put into it. All right. And hopefully, Hando, that was enough to show you the blade, as you were talking about. All right, beyond that, other commissions I've been working on, I've got a couple in line, actually. I have to finish checking out the parts. I have a helmet that I'm supposed to print for someone. Now, he provided me the design. It's more the printing of it. But I think that's still one I'm going to have to charge him about like $60 for, just because of the amount of material to make this full winged helmet. But other things I've had is one of my friends locally came up with something I had never heard of before. And you're going to get to hear it, and there's better examples online. But this one is called a death whistle. And apparently the origin of it, he sent me a YouTube video to check it out, and you can look it up online. But it is an Amazonian design for a whistle that they'd make out of clay or other parts and stuff, and usually shape it like a skull, that specifically is supposed to sound, how do I want to say, it's intimidating, and that they would bring hundreds of these out to a battlefield before fighting against a neighboring army or such, and thus to try to intimidate them with the noise it makes. And so I'm going to show it because it looks like essentially a big skull here. And as I'm showing it, though, I basically want you to kind of see it and decide what the sound looks like for you. It has these 3 vents in the back which allow the air out, and you blow into the top here. And so I'm going to let you hear it, and we'll see how it comes across on the mic. I've tried it a few times, and it sounds, I think, what it's supposed to. I think the design actually works exactly how it's supposed to. It has a very unique sound to it. And so let's see how this works. And so it should sound very airy like that. It's not actual tone or anything. What it's supposed to end up sounding like is almost like people screaming, or the souls of the dead screaming. And when you get just the right amount of air coming through, it can get some kind of creepiness to it. And so it's an interesting thing. And like I said, I've messed with it a little bit, how much air I've blown, how I'm blowing and stuff like that. And so I don't know how well that comes through. But yeah, it's supposed, I want to say it was Amazon. It was from the Amazon. I'm not sure what tribe or such like that, but if you look up death whistle, you may be able to find some examples of it. Enough so that I have another one printing now for me, because that one's his. Although I'll probably decide if he likes the blue, or I'm doing it in a black filament right now. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. Totally something I was never aware of, but he found. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about printing-wise, double checking behind me to see if I had anything else set up for prints. I think that's it for right there. Is I did this project yesterday / this morning, and this is where Hando was talking real briefly in there in the chat about my pizza and how it went, and Copy apparently caught it towards the very end of the stream. But I used this, you can check it back on this channel, on the Show X. The last video that we had on there was me designing and it's starting to print, and now you can see the final results of a pizza. And the whole reason for this, as I'll show it to you in a second, is a friend of mine from out east contacted me and basically said a message like, hey, do you have access to a 3D printer? Which I, chuckling, was like, yes, not just one, but like 3 that are mine. Why? And said that they are involved in, I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but Gish, Gish, and I'll have to look to see if there's an actual site for it as well. But Gish is essentially what's it called officially? Do they have a site specifically for it or not? I see videos in Wikipedia, things about it. No, not the game, the project. Because Gish is essentially gosh, they have bands, everything else. It's like the greatest international, or unless I'm saying it wrong, scavenger hunt. And what they do is they have these crazy activities and things that you're supposed to do to basically track what you've done for each of these things with, for how do you check off what you're doing for the scavenger hunt. I don't know what it is that you win in the end or what the point of it is, other than I have one of my friends locally wanted me to join our group, seeing who was interested, because I think it costs like $20 a person to be a part of it. But regardless, it's again a big scavenger hunt, and in that, the request I was given that said that this was one of the Gish things to do was specifically they needed someone to get emailed a pizza, meaning the files to create a pizza, to then print said pizza, and then take a picture of them, fake eating it, is what the goals of the Gish were. And so I was like, I think I can support this. Now, I was told that I could have just grabbed any design of a pizza out there and, from the normal websites where people have stuff, but I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity for me to design my own. And so I made it very simple but multi-layered because I wanted to do it in multiple colors. And so I went in and I designed, you can see on the stream a little bit, I designed a crust for it. And then I designed a layer of cheese. I didn't do sauce because I guess that would be under the cheese. Then I did a set of pepperoni, as well as olives, to make it look like an actual pizza, or at least recognizable such, and I made it personal pan size, or very small. So, that was what I designed. I printed them all out in various pieces, although this is where I discovered my R2 acting up more. I thought it was doing better. But got it all done this morning, and posted pictures and sent out all the information of it. And so, that you can see, here is the results of the actual pizza that I printed. And so, you can see the different colors. I did a wood filament for the crust, and then a yellow, a red, and a black filament for each of the other pieces. The other thing I did is I designed it with creases in it so I could actually have slices. And it's funny is because it actually kind of printed closer together than I expected, and so they're kind of not separating. And actually I feel the glue underneath the slices and the cheese and the bread, the crust part of it kind of sliding, so I may not pull that off. But you can see I made it so I could actually break it apart and have individual slices, and then I just have to glue them together again. I haven't let the glue completely settle over 24 hours, so I've just kind of have it a little bit in hand. But it was a fun little thing to do, and just kind of could I make something like this that quick? And I did. So I'm happy. I've actually been very pleased with how my 3D modeling and printing has been going. So that is the results of the pizza, and I sent all the pictures and was told that emphatically I did a wonderful job, and they were very excited. And so checking off something that wasn't due for, I think, another week or two. So that was good to do. So that's pretty much what I've been doing for 3D prints lately. I need to, again, fix my R2, and I need to go further and finish this commission for Gentleman on the Helmet. Now, it's not due until next year, but we need to talk price and see if he's actually good with that, because if so, I could probably knock it out in a week or two, which would give him plenty of time to finish it. So that's what I've been doing, like I said, trying to expand my 3D printing into something that's more than just the hobby it is, although the hobby is fun. All right, so beyond that, see, trying to refurbish a laser printer that's in the corner here, but I may need to just let that go. I think that might be cost more than it's worth. We'll see. I think the LCD's jacked on it. Those are the main things I had with that. Ken, are you still there? And how you doing, sir? And any comments on what I just brought up?
So I am here. Sorry, I'm actually just entering the main city that I'm trying to get to. I'm about 10, 15 minutes away from my final destination now. And obviously, with no longer just being a straight drive, I'm actually kind of concentrating on turns and where I'm going.
I got you. Got you. No worries.
And I did mute the audio and then move over to the maps, because I've been keeping the audio muted because I'm driving past noisy things and stuff. So thankfully I'm actually at a place I can safely stop right now. So it's I can chat. I had many things to say about each of the things you said, but sadly I couldn't speak. But in terms of your 3D printing, when you said you've been doing a lot of commissions at the very start, I wanted to ask, are you finally making profit, or are you still sort of in losses but having fun and learning?
How would I put it? I kind of am balanced in the sense, like I said, it somewhat pays for what I do with the printing, although I know I buy more filament and stuff like that than I would than what I've gotten paid. And so I'm not making money. Easy way to put it is I'm not making a profit off this, and I only charge enough to kind of basically cover some basic stuff, to cover a roll or two here. And I basically, the method I'm using to charge it is, or to cost it out, is the cost, double the cost of the filament itself on weight. And so I do it by weight, how much it's projected to print at. And then the time on my printer itself, 50 cents an hour. And that way, together, it kind of comes...
Is that doing 2 prints, 1 print?
Just as a whole, like however much it needs to be done, because sometimes if I'll put multiple pieces on one print platter and go from there, but it's all basically on the estimates and how much it'll use, and only for success. If I fail a couple times because I did something wrong, I don't charge that. And like, I do different. I do different for design, and so if people ask me to design something, I'll charge a little bit more because of that, because that's me taking time separate from the actual printing to do it. The print part is just for you bring a model, I'll print it, whatever filament you want that I have, cool. And so I'm working out, like I said, it's mostly just to kind of cover its own cost, you know, pay for the material and just the wear on the machine. So it's not like I'm turning a big profit out of it, but it's fun, and it allows me to better enjoy the hobbies that I have, because I'm not having to do it all by myself and cover it all, you know, including for other people. So that's been good. And the commission's been fun because people have been throwing different overall, like, problems at me of things to, like, how would you do this? Can you do that? And that's neat. It's fun.
That's cool. It's good. Yeah. Do you plan to one point get to a stage where you, like, start charging for profit, like including man hours and stuff?
I mean, it'll go based on essentially how much work I put into something, and so it all depends on what it is. And if I weren't still having to maintain the machines as much as I am, and having to fix enough things, buying a new filament stuff, I'd maybe consider what I've done a bit of a profit, but it's never going to be something that I'm going to, like, take away from a main job of mine. And so, and that's fine. It's just, it's fun. It's a thing to do. And so anything where you can do to even make your hobby kind of pay for itself is still nice.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the 3D print side of things. Like I said, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. And really what I've liked is that I've been trying out new things, new skills with it, and getting different, actually pretty successful with some parts. So that's been a big part of what I've enjoyed through it. And so still having fun. Let's see. Then other comments and questions or thoughts that you had, Ken?
Concerning the sword you're talking about, they sound very cool, but I don't understand. Well, why do you say? I may have not heard it because I did try it a couple of times. You said one of them seemed like a 5-year-old. Why was that?
Oh, that was the Wonder Woman sword that I got, which, again, it's just cloth. And instead of, like, most of the swords that are nice foam cast or something, and so they have a nice hardness to them, this one's a floppy, like, just piece of fabric with a bit of foam in the middle. And so it definitely has a different quality and feel from most of the other cosplay level or other kinds of swords I have. And so that's okay. Where that one just, it's very different. Like, nope, you guys did not succeed. But
okay.
Yep.
I think that was all the questions I had that I can think of anyway. I had more, but that's all the ones I can think of at the end of everything.
Gotcha. All right, let's see. So beyond all that, let me double check. I don't think we got any more emails in. And then...
I have something I could talk about.
Yeah.
So I actually remembered it about 5 minutes ago. That was something I should have mentioned. So you know how I signed back up for RuneScape because I wanted to try old school RuneScape on my phone?
Yes.
So I have always, you know, as a person who lectures in computer security and has some skills in ethical hacking and the like, you know, I'm always very careful with my security in general. And you know, whenever I can have an authenticator attached to an account, of course I should always be using that. But in terms of my RuneScape account, I didn't. So I had just a password there, and I got an email confirming a second email address being attached to my RuneScape account this week.
Interesting.
A recovery email address, and I thought I didn't put that there because I don't have any email address that ends in @outlook.com.
Oh no.
So
So what's going on with that
Bye-bye.
then? I'm sorry.
So yeah, it was very scary because I was like, oh no, my RuneScape account. I'm doing both my credit cards and stuff as well because that will be attached, right? So I managed to send up a support ticket through their system that they have in place for that. And within 25 minutes, I had access to my account again. I was amazed by how fast their customer support team did something about that.
Oh,
that makes sense. I'm a paying member, so they don't want me to have a bad experience, right? So they must jump on that straight away. So I gave them my old passwords. I gave them the last time I activated the account. I gave them my IP address and location, etc. I gave them PayPal transaction ID to prove that I'm the one that pays for it, etc. And that was obviously proof enough. They removed the secondary email address. They removed the authenticator. They sent me to my email an account to reset my password. And so I did.
Nice.
I reset my password, got back in. I set my password to something ridiculous that they could not guess. I then got an authenticator, so they're doubly blocked out completely, no matter what. So that's good. That's all sorted now. And then I logged into RuneScape to see what had happened to my account. So the rule is with RuneScape accounts is if you are hacked and it's not the fault of Jagex, the company, so if they didn't do it, if like your password wasn't stolen from their database or whatever, right? So in other words, if it's my fault or just by happenstance, then I will not get any items returned. I will not get any experience returned. If I die or whatever, that's that. That's the way it is.
Okay.
So I was a bit apprehensive. So I went in, and the first thing I did was the only thing I've been doing for the past 2 weeks is mining rune essence. That's it. I've done nothing else. I had 5,000 rune essence from sitting on the toilet, right? So that's quite a lot of rune essence. I was quite proud because that meant I could eventually, and so I was somewhere completely different. My character was near some arena or something in a place of the world I'd never been to before. My inventory had completely changed. What I was wearing would have completely changed. And so this all concerned me. I found a bank nearby. I went over to it. I checked what was in my RuneScape account bank, and I noticed all my rune essence was gone. So,
oh no.
And I was like, oh my god, all my money's gone. So I had no money and no rune essence. All the thing I was working on. I was really down about that. I was like, what assholes, you know? Why would you do this? What douchebag? But I looked and I saw that I instead had 6,000 like fungal swamp something or other. Some item I had no idea what it was for. Okay. I had 6,000 of them. And I was like, okay, so are they like farming with my account? What's going on here? And I looked it up, and it turns out that item is worth quite a lot of money.
Oh.
So I go to the Grand Exchange, the auction house in this game, and I sell it, and I actually made a profit. I tripled the money that I had from before.
Oh,
Admittedly, I don't have a rune essence anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but I've actually made money from being hacked. And then I checked my stats for leveling up different skills and likes.
Yeah.
And I found that they actually leveled up my herb lore by 20 odd levels as well. So whatever they were doing, I didn't even check. I don't really care. They've actually given the extra stuff in my account, so I can't really complain.
That is the best situation of hacking that you could see.
Yeah, I mean, of all the things that could happen. I mean, I'm still upset that I lost my rune essence because I did actually work for that. I know that was a little upsetting, but in the end, I can complain when I'm actually up in money. So that was pretty funny. So I'm going to try something just now with the phone because and
ooh. I believe right now it's there. We go. Okay,
that sounds much better.
Yeah. How did this happen? Okay, so I thought it might. I didn't realize till halfway through the journey, but I got a new Bluetooth device that I've been using in my car. But I didn't realize it also had a receiver. I thought it was using my so I got a new phone last week. That was something else for a minute. Yeah, I've been looking forward to trying the voice on it. So I've just realized using the crappy £10 Bluetooth device instead of my fancy new Samsung S9 Plus thing. So the next thing I need to do Okay, now I've got on phone mode, so now it should be even nicer.
Well, you are definitely much more. I can hear you much better now.
Yeah, well, it's also because the car's now off, so there's no engine.
Yeah, no, this is significantly different. Gee whiz, why haven't you been this way?
It
all
also
the
means
time?
It's because I was. Well, it's also because I have 4G because I'm now in the city, so it's a mix of factors. But it's also because I wouldn't be able to hold my phone against my head while driving.
No,
because obviously
sense.
I'd get arrested for that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But no, this sounds wonderful.
Fantastic. That's good to know. I actually need to go and try and find a car park now, however, that is cheap. So I'm going to be driving around and checking different car parks. So
gosh.
I think I'm going to...
Can't you do a query for something like that?
Drop an hour repeatedly and driving with a phone in hand. So I may have to disappear 15 minutes early, I'm afraid.
And that's okay if you do. It's more just, I was just curious if you normally we have like apps for that and stuff to try to help find parking. I actually use one called Spot Hero that lets you pre-purchase for however long you're going to be there and have a fixed fee.
So we're not at the stage in the UK where we have a single app or anything for it. We have instead usually the company that owns the car park has their own app, and there's like hundreds of companies. So so my workplace, I have an app for it, but I don't have an app for example the current car park I'm in. So I need to go and physically check which one is going to be the cheapest, because I know my hotel one is ridiculously expensive, and I'd rather park somewhere near the hotel that will cost me, a 10% price instead.
No, absolutely.
So that's my plan.
Good luck for that, sir. And if you need to run, that is okay.
Thank you very much. I will be on next week. I'm not traveling next week. I'll be staying in the hotel all weekend next weekend. So
I believe that.
But that also means, thankfully. Yeah.
I was just trying to check for mine as well, because I believe that I should be okay for that as well. I should be good next week.
Okay.
But the following week after that, the weekend of the 10th, 11th, 12th, I will be in North Carolina without any internet, and so I will not be available that weekend.
I will also be still in Ipswich, and I have no computer here other than a work computer, which I can't install software on. So I definitely can't host. So in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be no show.
So the 12th, we'll put out a notice. We'll look like we will not have a show on the 12th. Maybe we'll pre-record something or do something else. But heads up for that.
Yeah. On the bright side, next week I'm not traveling, so I can just do what we're doing right now with a nice microphone, and that should be much better quality. And
yes.
Although I probably won't. I doubt I'll be using hotel Wi-Fi, because I imagine it's probably worse than my 4G. So I'll probably it'll probably sound like it does now.
I was going to say, I hate when that happens, but I've run into that too, where it's like, I try to do the Wi-Fi and it's terrible. So
yeah, It's like, it's not costing me data anymore. And it's like, oh wait, it's not worth it.
Exactly.
Cheaper, but worse quality.
See, that's the problem. I'm so used to having unlimited data, so it's like, I don't think about it. Anyhow.
Oh, lucky you. I've got only 20 gig right now, which I've cut down from 40 to 20 due to the new plan I'm on. But gotcha. Still, 20 is still like an incredible amount in the UK, though. Usually, most people have about 8 max, usually 4.
Yeah, and normally, if I'm usually on Wi-Fi, so it makes sense. But still, gosh, I personally will always try to keep it. Anyhow, you have a good time, and good luck finding a good, inexpensive carport. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you all. Feel free to add me on RuneScape, anybody who, because that's pretty much the only game I can play down here. So feel free to add me there. I believe I'm GoHex on it, but tweet me if not. Tweet me if you're struggling to find me. All right,
sir.
Nice to speak to all of you. I'm sorry I missed last week, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. And thank you for sticking with us through the spotty connectivity and crappy microphone. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ken. All right, everyone. That means you are left with me, which means I should hit the thing that says, like, E. Ding. And go dink and say, look, Ken's gone now. Haha. But outstanding. All right. So turn it off so we don't have to worry about random calls or interruptions from there. But we only have about 10 minutes left in the show, so that works out well as well. Awesome. So, gosh, I wish Ken would have found that earlier or figured out. I guess he said like it was up to his face, and so that's where he couldn't have done that while driving. But man, it sounded better through the regular microphone than over the Bluetooth. That was tinny as heck. So, shucks. All right, so back to me. What else has been going on this side of the world? Oh, nothing to be shared, I think, out and about. got things to transition here in the house. I think it was sent over Game Fest that like one of the roommates has transitioned out and is doing other things now. Got, cleaning up after Game Fest. I got to look at what am I doing next. I'm sure I have multiple projects going on around, but it's weird having actually found time to clean the house some and work on playing actual fun time play games. I do have a lot of photos I need to edit and stuff like that, so I know there's still things I need to do, but this has been good. I was somewhat going to check to see what was going on after the show for people, but since I don't think I've heard anything confirmed directly for me, I will likely try to get on something after the show, and maybe be willing to play if people are about and wanting to do stuff. So look for me on the Discord, and I might try something out. I may have to do some more actual house things and stuff, but that is a thought. And so we will look for that at the end. Other than that, that's the main things. We do appreciate all of your guys' interaction and feedback with the show, especially during, because live is best, and we definitely keep an eye on the chats and see what's going on there. Tabaxian's brought up stuff about No Man's Sky, ever since they announced their update for that, it sounds like it is an entirely new game, the game that they've always said it was going to be, and they just finally actually got it there, so that's interesting to hear. Oh, I did have one news article I could bring up, haha. And this one's not going to be a big deal or a big one, but it'll go right into just at the end of the show here with
technology, news, and more, today on the Geekoscope.
So on the Geekoscope, the one that I found, where did my notes go, was an article that came from, Kinja Deals? And the idea behind this is, and it's not something I was tracking, but I've seen some of these in person before, and that is that there is a pre-order arcade, Arcade 1-Up, new arcade cabinets are coming out, and they're ready for pre-order now at multiple sites. But the key to note is that they were expected and had been being pre-ordered at, was it GameStop, I think, for $3.99 was what they were pre-ordering at. And these are 3/4 size multi-game arcade machines. They're fully built, able to play. I don't think they have coin slots, though. I think otherwise they have all the games and stuff to be played on them. And with them, they, at Walmart.com of all places, they are going for $2.99. And so $100 cheaper, just depending on which online store you go to. And so throwing it out there, it's not something that I necessarily would have since I have main box and stuff like that in the back, but it's pretty cool to see that they're actually selling them cheaper if you go to Walmart. And the ones they have, 5 cabinets that they have shown. They are one that is a Rampage, Gauntlet, Joust, and Defender. Another one is Asteroids, Major Havoc, Lunar Lander, and Tempest. The next one, which is definitely a wheel one, is Centipede, Millipede, Missile Command, and Crystal Castles. Fourth one is Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2, The New Challengers, and Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And the last one is the Galaga Galaxian cabinet. So I guess not all of them have 4 games, but they all have a couple. So check those out. If you're trying to build your own arcade in your house, you can get some 3/4 style ones for cheaper than what people had expected. So that's kind of cool. All right, I just wanted to make sure I threw that one in there for an article. I've got a few others I could have gone into, but I don't know if people care. Let's see. One that, this one I can throw in there since it's quick and towards the end here. And yes, we could easily make your own main box ones that would be cheaper, but these are still kind of cool. Another game announcement, and this one is actually one that is kind of a crossover for things I like. There is, from PC Games N, a Kill la Kill the game coming to PC next year. It says the hit anime series Kill la Kill is being adapted into a fighting game. Developer Arc System Works announced it during Anime Expo. I missed that all the way back. Okay. And revealed its launch on PC along with PlayStation 4 next year. Kill la Kill the game is a arena fighter game based on the popular violent fan servicey anime series, which debuted in 2013. And it says the story. Oh, this is saying the article writer doesn't know anything about the story, but it says that Arc System Works is developing the game alongside Little Witch Academia Studio A+. That'll be interesting. with guidance provided by Trigger, the company that produced the TV series. ARC was behind this year's Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which wound up being both an excellent fighting game and a faithful recreation of the show's art style. So essentially, it's just going to be a kill-a-kill fighter game, but that sounds pretty cool because it is a show that is all about fighting. Thank you, Copy, for putting in the link into the chat. Wow, you grabbed all of them. Yes, you can follow Copy's links, although I think, as you said, yours is in Canadian. And so yours shows up as, 500 Canadian. Oi. They have to do the math to see what that translates. Actually, let me do that right now. Go off to the Googles. Because Google can do this real time for me. 29 US to Canadian. Oh gosh. Yeah, you need to buy through a US somebody, and maybe is that with shipping? Because Canadian, based on the price that Walmart's selling it here, should only be $3.90. So under 400 Canadian is what it should be based on current market value. So that's shitey. That sucks. They're giving it one over on Canada yet again. So that's no good. But yes, Copy, thank you for sharing those notes. But yeah, so after the show, I got to run upstairs here and see if anything's here that I need to take care of. And then beyond that, I may be online. So check me out on Discord and we'll see what we might want to play. All right, I think that is all I have for today. I appreciate you guys for coming in and listening as always. And please, like we said, feel free to share every time we're online with your friends, family, all those around. We would love to have more viewers come in, and we'd love hearing from you. So send in emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. We want to know about your geek. We want to know about what's been going on with technology and news around you, and what would you like us to talk about in any of our shows. We'd love to react to the things you guys care about. All right, so with that, I am going to call it slightly early since Ken's run away, and wish you guys all a very happy start to the week. So thank you very much, and we'll catch you again next time. Follow us on all our things. Let me hit the button, and let me say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.